Hey there, history buffs and business enthusiasts. Today, we're diving into an incredible saga from ancient China, the unification under the Qin Dynasty, which lasted from 221 to 206 BCE. Now, you might be wondering, what does a story about an ancient empire have to do with modern business? Stick around and you'll see how the strategies of unification can teach us valuable lessons for today. Picture this. It's the 3rd century BCE. China is not the unified state we know today. Instead, it's a patchwork of warring states, each with its ambitions, cultures, and leaders. On the eve of unification, China is in chaos, much like a market filled with competitors but no clear leader. That's when a young king steps into the picture, Qin Shi Huang. Born as Yingzheng, Qin Shi Huang wasn't a typical ruler. He ascended to the throne of the Qin state at just 13 years old. If you think starting a business is tough, imagine ruling a state in turmoil. His vision? To unify China and create a centralized empire. This wasn't just about power. It was about efficiency, governance, and yes, making things run smoothly, concepts that resonate even today. But why unify? Well, from a business perspective, having a unified market minimizes confusion, reduces competition, and creates a coherent identity. Qin understood this. He abolished feudalism, centralized power, and standardized laws and weights. These methods are akin to today's strategies of consolidating resources and streamlining operations. The process of unification was intense. Imagine mergers and acquisitions on a grand scale, but with actual armies. Qin Shi Huang staged a series of brutal military campaigns. His first significant conquest was of the Han state, which led to a chain reaction. Other states saw the power of Qin's determination, and soon they either submitted or faced annihilation. Now, let's talk about the players involved. Besides Qin Shi Huang, there was his loyal advisor, Li Si. Li was a legalist, believing in strict laws and harsh punishments to maintain order. They say that behind every great leader is a great advisor. This dynamic duo worked hand in hand like a duo in a startup, balancing vision and execution. Speaking of execution, let's discuss Qin Shi Huang's strategies. He didn't just go in guns blazing. He offered incentives for surrender, securing alliances that proved essential. In the business world, this is like using partnerships to expand your reach. By offering mutual benefits, Qin turned rivals into collaborators. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Once he unified the states, Qin Shi Huang faced a massive challenge: governance. Imagine taking over a fragmented market and trying to implement your brand across diverse consumer bases. Qin and Li Si implemented radical reforms. They standardized speaking, writing, and measurements. Roads were built to connect the newly unified territories, which is so much like today's logistics management. You need strong connections to succeed. However, not everything was perfect. Qin Shi Huang's methods were often brutal. He burned books and buried scholars alive who opposed his rule. It's a side of leadership that reminds us of the pitfalls of authoritarianism in business. Stifling creativity by quelling dissent can lead to devastating consequences. Now, let's pivot to the results. The Qin Dynasty was extraordinarily impactful, but it was also short-lived. After the death of Qin Shi Huang in 210 BCE, it turns out that even emperors aren't immortal. The dynasty began to crumble. His son, Qin Shi, took the throne but was far from his father's caliber. Leaders often leave behind a legacy, and Qin's was a double-edged sword. Upon his death, the oppression of the Qin regime led to widespread unrest. People were not just dumb followers. They had clearly seen the dark side of Qin's rule. Local rebellions turned into large-scale uprisings. Just like a company with high employee turnover, the Qin experienced rapid downfall due to its lack of sustainable leadership. But here's where the story shifts. Out of the chaos rose the Han Dynasty, which took many of Qin's principles, but implemented them with more compassion and adaptability. The lesson? Strong tactics can lay the foundation for success, but it's the humane approach that builds a lasting legacy, much like how modern businesses thrive on customer satisfaction and employee wellness. So, what can we learn from the unification under the Qin Dynasty? First, vision is essential. Identify your goals clearly. Second, collaboration is key. Build partnerships, even with competitors, for broader reach. Third, handling governance properly is crucial. Remember, leadership isn't just about power. It's about how you wield it. If you're intrigued by how these ancient strategies can apply to modern business, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and join the conversation below. What do you think are the biggest lessons we can glean from the past? Let's keep this dialogue alive. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep learning and keep growing.